So as we do to establish the mindset of maximizing our potential, we always like to give thanks at the beginning of our sessions. So we will go ahead and start. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangu Langete Girim Yat Kripatam Aham Bande Shri Guru Dinataranam Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sunda Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Always one of the highlights of my week, and really appreciate always the discussion we have in these groups to reflect upon and really, try to apply some of the things we talk about in our lives on a daily basis. As always, our culture that we like to bring to this group is full presence, respect for all that have joined, and the determination to do the work that is being presented to us. The two things we always love to try to remember are the good others have done for us and potentially the bad we have done for others, to always, one, keep us in the space of gratitude, and second, in the space of always wanting to be better and improve. And the things we should always try to keep at bay as best possible are the feelings that have come from the bad others have done from us, and the good we have done for others. So again, thank you so much. We are in the last agreement, as I mentioned in our last night, the fourth agreement, let sacred love be the only goal. And I know we can start off by, I know last week we ended with this reflection question that Hiba just wanted to, we can jump right into it from this. And I'll give everyone a couple more minutes to just reflect on this, but the reflection, because we're trying to get it as much now into application as possible. And one of the questions in this section of widening your circle was, how do we experience divinity or grace in our everyday life? So I'll just give everyone a minute, and then we will potentially just discuss that all together. All right, I know we had a few minutes to just think about this one last week. So did anyone want to share some reflections? We will read section 3, which will kind of elaborate on this point a little bit more. But did anyone want to start? Paul has unmiked.
So I went to last week's notes and I put down time alone, meditating, enjoying nature, being kind, spending time with people, doing things for others, putting ego aside, walking the dog, reading, those types of things. I think.
Nice.
That's what I do. That's the daily routine, or what I try.
Oh, it's really nice. I really appreciate all of those things. Anybody else wanted to share?
I understood the question in a different way.
Sure.
For me, it's how I see everything, the divine. This is how I understood it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I see anything living, and I see when I'm seeing it, or watching a documentary, or experiencing this, I see this. There's something, very, very, very powerful. I cannot explain it. I feel it when I see the sequence, or when it's all around us. You see everything has a sequence, or everything is related to other. This is for me, it's one of the most powerful things that I can feel the divinity. This is how I understood the question.
Yeah, no, thank you.
If you go deep and deep, I understand it more and more. You feel, a power or things that you cannot understand, or you cannot frame it, or you cannot name it. this is for me, how I experience or I feel the divinity.
Yeah, thank you. It comes in many different ways, and yeah, I mean, human life or any type of life is a great example of that for sure. I think you understood the question very well too. Did anyone else want to share? So Avni, how are you? We're just discussing the reflection question from last week, and the reflection question was, how do you experience divinity or grace in your everyday life? Maybe you had given some thought to that last week, but that's what we're in the midst of discussing right now. Anybody else wanted to share?
Yeah, hi, I'll go. So, first of all, I think in everyday life, it's easy to see grace and divinity when one receives just what one needs, when one doesn't even know what one needed. So, if I would explain that a little bit better, because I don't think that made sense, but what I was trying to say is that when, let's say that you were planning for something, you were kind of caught up with something, and things were kind of getting this thing, and you were worried about it, and then something happens, and either the issue gets resolved, or it's just a different situation or environment is created. So that's really how grace, I feel, presents itself very often. There's a saying that, if you get what you wished for, that's great. But if you don't get what you wished for, that's even better, because then you're getting what the divine has wished for you. So that's something that I experience the divinity and grace as, that a synchronicity, something which I don't have to consciously be working at, but is done for me. And something that one has faith in, that one is always protected, guided, taken care of, and you're always landing in a very safe space. So that's how I experience divinity. To me, divinity is something that's very benevolent, very like always looking out, a very safe space. And there's another thing that comes to mind in the Upanishads. It's written that life is, you are like two birds sitting on a branch. One of the birds is eating the tree, and the other one is lovingly looking at it. One bird is eating the fruit, and the other bird is lovingly looking at the bird that is eating the fruit. Both of you are you. And it's really, for me, that is what divinity is: the ability to be of the world, in the world, and form the dharma, the action, the karma, whatever. And the part which is the divine is the part that is just the observer. And that is something that that it expresses as to me.
Oh, thank you, Avantika, for that. That really amazing framing and just experience that you've experienced of it in your life. I can relate to it on many ways, and not to minimize what you were saying, but there's kind of sometimes a joke that's said amongst my circle of friends, is that we have our plan and divinity or God has their plans, and oftentimes they don't match up. And I really, what you said reminded me of that saying. But what I think one of the key things that you talked about is just that trust to feel and know that protection is there, regardless of what's unfolding. I think it's really one of the keys in what you said. Anyone else wanted to share?
Yeah, Rick, and I wanted, I was just thinking about, so on my vacation, I had some time during the downtime to just, read and, grow and some different things. And one of the things I did on the way back yesterday, and the time that I wasn't having to drive, was I was watching Robbins, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I was just reminded of, I mean, I think that's a great audio program. It's a lot like PMA and a lot of kind of a summary of what we learn in PMA. And I was thinking about what, Paul, what you said initially about all those things that you mentioned, right? And I was reminded of how Robin really gives that framework of all those different things that we can do, right? The morning routine, and then the focus work for the 5 hours, and then going into nature in the afternoon. And I mean, it provides a framework, because oftentimes we know we want to experience these things and we don't really know how to do it. And he kind of tells us exactly how we can do it. And I was just reminded of how much that has enriched my life, to start actually executing that blueprint that he gave us, and at least where I first found it in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will definitely say it's a very powerful, definitely a very powerful framework to not only just to start with. I'm sure most people have an adaptation of it after they've started,
Of
but
course.
it's great to even keep elements of it throughout our journey. No, thank you for reminding us of, and even the 20-20-20 in the morning is a powerful practice, really powerful.
He talked about that as well. I mean, he covered all, and I was just reminded.
Yeah, no, thank you. Gabrielle.
Oh, it's already on. For me, it's to listen to my heart, to the wisdom of my heart, because I know that my heart is connected to the heart of everything. So to the source, the core of everything. And by knowing I'm connected through my heart to everything, this is how I am experience divinity, and how I receive guidance, even if I don't know what to do. If I have no clue what to do, if there are problems or things in front of me, there is no way to solve them. It's by trust in this wisdom of my heart, by knowing I don't need to know. The guidance will just happen by bring myself back to the voice of my heart. And being very quiet and listening to this voice.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm very grateful for nature and for my dogs, because to me, to be honest, it's much easier to deal with nature and animals than with humans. There's still so much pain. This is why I'll have to turn the camera off again. I don't know. How can humans do so much pain to each other? It still hurts me. I have the feeling I feel all the pain in myself, and I would like to solve this pain, but it takes patience and pure love and time, because we are in time and space. And so I train myself to be more patient with my human family, in the small one and the big part as well. I just often don't understand why are people not using their whole heart potential and stopping the fear who makes us making wrong decisions and cruel things, no matter in a big war or in a small war. It's always fear. When people make decisions, when they don't understand, when they don't see themselves in the person in front of them. And I know I should maybe sometimes drain back or stay just in my present, but I am connected to everything. I know. And so even if I can make my own happiness in my own little castle, in my own little environment, still everything is my family, and humanity is challenging me quite a lot. It's to laugh and to it makes me to tears and to laugh at the same time, because of course there is joy and there is hope and everything will become very well and humanity will do their way. But it, to me, sometimes I think could be a bit faster. Then I'm not patient enough. Okay, and thank you that I'm allowed to take the camera off, because I'm just a very emotional person.
Oh, thank you so much, Gabriela, for sharing your heart so sincerely. I'm sure all of us in some way, shape, or form can identify with how you feel. And it's definitely, yeah, it's a long, we'll be honest, it's a long slog sometimes. It's not easy, and that patience piece is definitely, gets tested for all of us. Thank you. Did anyone else have anything to share?
Hi, it's Avni.
Please.
So the question was, when have you felt, how do you feel divinity?
Yeah, how do you experience divinity or grace in your everyday life?
So it's, I have several examples, but just one, I just want to mention one which was very recent. And I'm not sure if I am right in it, but one of my friends pointed out the connection with the soul with this one. And I just wanted to share it. So can you hear me? Okay, so as you know that Annette is in Kenya, is visiting with her husband Bob, and we went out for dinner on, God, it seems like ages now. I think Saturday.
Last week.
Saturday? God no, God, there's so much happened. And my children came with us. So Rohini and Aditi were with us, and I actually, for the first time, which I don't know if you can believe it, was very quiet, because the way that Annette and Bob were interacting, especially Annette was interacting with my daughters and just explaining different intricacies of the way that she sees the world and she experiences the world, and the way that my children were looking at her and at Bob was just magical. Like from inside, I mean, I wanted to cry there and then. I don't know what happened, but I just felt this just pure, amazing exchange. And I was discussing, and I don't tell very many people, but I was discussing with my Italian friend, and he said to me, it is amazing You know, it is our soul resonating with that moment, you know, and it's that connection with the soul. So I just, and I knew it as soon as you said that. I was like, I'm gonna have to say this on one of my Yoga in the Dark Night in the Soul family. But oh my God, I really resonated with that. I felt the soul, and to feel the soul for me is to feel the divinity, because we all have that divinity within us. So it's just amazing. It was so beautiful. I don't know whether I don't know what everyone else thinks, but yeah, I mean, Annette was on a different level. The way that she just connected and was so authentic, and the way that my children, is just amazing. And then exactly what Stacey said, and I miss what Paul said, but exactly what Robin Sharma says: do never send your children up to sleep. Always allow them to interact with whoever you're with and everything. So that's that principle. But it's just amazing. Is that? What do you?
Yeah, no, thank you. It was reminding me of we put up last week. Remember the Greek etymology of the word enthusiasm? Entheos means the God within. So when we feel enthusiasm or passion for something inside, this is actually God speaking to us from within. That's where.
So I don't think so. So I agree with you, but just now saying it was so pure. There was no ego, no nothing like, oh wow, look, these are my children. Oh wow, this is it. It was just seeing that interaction. You know, there's that simplicity. It was just amazing. So, yeah.
Wow. You know, those moments sometimes come far and few between, but they're so memorable.
Amazing, really, really amazing. So,
but what's nice is that what's nice is that it gives us, you know, those experiences also impel us to strive for having that on a more regular basis, right?
Oh, most definitely. And it was so nice to have one of the Titan family in Kenya visiting, because I really believe that all of us are just special human beings, and I'm forever grateful to Robin, forever grateful. I'm forever grateful to Ida and Rikin and all of you, but I'm very grateful to Robin. Thank you so much. All of you are just amazing, and you just meet, and it's just amazing enthusiasm, electricity, wisdom, honesty, humbleness, and that hunger to, and that there's no, we just share. We're just sharing. It's just a sharing community. So lovely. Thank you for, and sending you big hugs, Gabrielle.
Oh, wow. That's, I would use all my heart and heart emojis for that comment. Thank you. Yeah, no, we'd love to, I think, you had that experience with one person. If we could multiply that by all meeting sometime soon, it would be great.
And Avni, I like to call those moments holy instant. Like it's in that holy instance, just that one moment.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. It is. It was very, but I thought it was, I'm being emotional, but my friend pointed it out, because I said, I just wanted to cry. And he said, yeah, it's that goosebump feeling, but it's just that innocent, pure goosebump feeling, It's amazing, amazing. I'm bringing my children, by the way.
Good. No, thank you so much. Wow, that was also an inspiring reflection also. Does anyone else want to share? This is really nice to hear from everybody. I'll share a couple of things that came to mind when I was reflecting on this. Last week, I was well, and this crossing over the week, I became quite sick, and I was just reflecting on in everyday life, sometimes we can take our good health and vitality for granted. And I was just thinking this is, I know, a way to experience, for me to experience grace and divinity is just vitality and good health, because it's so much connected to our ability to fulfill our purpose and to be of service to others. So that was one thing that came to my mind. The second is that something that I was thinking about was just this, to have a process or means by which we can help do the internal cleanse of what is of what's going on within us. That, you know, sometimes when we turn inside, as we've seen in the dark night of the soul, is we see things often that we don't like, and we wonder, you know, how do we actually, like, you know, shift those things away. And so what I mean by this kind of cleaning process is when you see, like, over time, at least for me, like a gradual shift in mindset. So going from that small love to sacred love analogy that Simon uses, to me, that's a really, like, powerful example of divinity in our everyday life. And it comes through, you know, as we mentioned, it comes through having good counsel in the form of mentors, having a spiritual practice, you know, being connected with nature, so many different things. But again, that ability to shift in that mindset, for me, that's always been one of the most powerful ways that I've seen, you know, especially experiencing grace, because many times I've come to understand that it can't be always done on our own strength. We definitely need help. So that was another second thing that came to me. The third thing was just relationships. You know, relationships is really the opportunity for us to, if we go back to this chapter, you know, again, we always talk about what the inherent nature of something is, or the dharma of something, and the inherent nature of our soul is to give and receive love. So that, you know, the relationships we have really help me fulfill that exchange and that deeper need. So that was a third thing that came to mind. And one of the last thing that I'll just comment on was was when I reflect on all that I'm able to do and my abilities. That also I see as grace, because Krishna specifically says in the 7th chapter of the Gita, he says, the abilities that we all have, that's in fact me, you know, that provides those abilities. So yeah, just to reflect on the gifts that we have been given, and specifically, again, whatever skills and talents we may have, that it's coming from that source is always an important reflection for myself. So those were some of the things that came to me when I was doing this exercise. Anybody else wanted to share anything before we move on? I did want to read this section because it is really nice to reflect on. All right, does someone want to read? We are at the page 313. We're still at the end of widening your circle, and it's section 3. So if someone wanted to start out sitting in the lotus position facing the ocean. Does someone want to launch in? Please, Avni.
Sitting in lotus position facing the ocean, I withdrew into meditation, focusing on the sacred name of Krishna. As dawn arrived, the sun and the moon gazed at each other across a saffron sky. Desiring to direct my love to Krishna, the soul of all souls, I realized I needed to know more about him. Krishna is the root of the very consciousness that is attempting to find him. He is behind the eyes that are looking outwards. How then can we come to know Krishna? how do I, as a practitioner of yoga, experience Krishna in my everyday life? My own experience led me to understand Krishna first as the inner guide within the temple of my heart. Just as Arjun turned to Krishna for guidance, we too can always turn to Krishna, the universal teacher, in our heart and ask for the guidance we need. Sometimes Krishna will manifest externally as a particular teacher in our life. Sometimes Krishna will also teach us through the challenges we face each day. In ancient India, the yogis and the mystics understood that anything that inspires us and awakens our higher potential, the godlike and goodness-like qualities within us, is a manifestation of Krishna, our inner guide. In Gita, Arjun asked Krishna, "How am I to know you, O yogi, and constantly fix my mind upon you? In what various forms of existence can I conceive of you, O you who possess the potency?" In reply, Krishna tells Arjun all the places in which he, as the original yoga teacher, is to be found. We experience Krishna in the taste of water, the radiance of the sun and moon, the sound in space, the pure fragrance of the earth, the brilliance in fire, the ocean, time, consciousness, the wind, the life of all being, and much more. Krishna is the beginning, the middle, and the end of all things. Of all forms of knowledge, he is the knowledge of the soul. He is death, who devours everybody, and he is the origin of all things still to be. But what is the need for you to understand this in detail, Arjun? Krishna added. With a single part of myself, I pervade and sustain this whole universe. One of Krishna's names is Vishvam, the universe. Krishna reveals his identity to Arjun as the hidden basis of all things. Large, heaving waves tumbling upon the sandy shore, one after the other, and with great force. As I sit in meditation, I felt the presence of Krishna, the soul of the universe, all around me. In the mantra I was quietly repeating, in the life force of my own being, in the beauty and the abounding power all around me. It's Krishna's presence in all of the nature that causes us to be so profoundly stirred by it. Meditating on this, I felt myself in awe of a divine presence surrounding me and running through me.
Thank
We
you.
need to move to Bermuda. I just imagined the whole time, I just imagined Tiffany sitting on the beach and experiencing all of this.
It is lovely. I was there Sunday morning and I had just the most beautiful meditation and Qigong and the waves. It was amazing.
Nice. Yeah, I wanted to read this section because I think most of us experience nature and divinity in different ways, but it was nice in the Gita chapter 7 from verses 8 to 12, if people want to note it. I'll just read it because it's very short from the section that we've been referring to for this book club. But the section of the 7, 8 to 12, which Simon is referring to, the and much more, I'll just I'll give you an idea of the much more, which includes most of what he said. So 7, 8 is, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and moon. I am the syllable of Om in the Vedas, the sound in ether, the ability in human beings. Verse 9, I am the original fragrance of the earth, the radiance in fire. I am the life of all that lives, the penance of all ascetics. Verse 10, I am the seed of all beings, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the powerful of the powerful. 11. I am the strength of the strong, free of passion and desire, and I am desire that accords with the spirit. Verse 12. The states of goodness, passion, and darkness come from me and are within me, though I am not in them. And so those are the 4 verses that Simon is speaking of when he talks about all the different things. And it's nice to be able to hear from, see how it's framed in the Gita. And I mean, it's such a powerful exercise to see it externally. And I was just connecting with both what Avantika said and with Gabrielle said, but that whole analogy of the bird, that's a common example that Avantika was saying, the bird who's sitting beside the other bird eating the fruit. That bird who's sitting beside is referred to in the yoga text as the soul, as the divinity within each of us. That's in fact observing all our activities. And a lot of times we're too busy just eating that fruit. We don't actually look at the soul that observer that's there, that's monitoring, not just monitoring, but also someone we can go to for guidance and assistance as well. So I was just kind of merging those 2 comments, and yeah, it's definitely a powerful meditation, this section. So hope everyone liked this section. I wanted to just read, we just have one last section in this chapter, section 4, which is a really, really great section. Does anyone want to start? Anita got straight to the point. Does anyone want to start?
I can read.
Please, Toral.
Anita got straight to the point. Is Krishna a fictional character? There was silence in the room. 50 faces turned towards me. Anita is a yoga teacher from London. Her Indian parents had emigrated to the UK in the 1970s. She was attending one of my seminars on the Bhagavad Gita at a popular yoga venue in London. No, I replied. The rishis and yogis have direct perception of the soul of the universe in their meditation, which many have documented in the sacred yoga texts. But Krishna manifests according to the vision of the yoga practitioner. His ability to show himself differently to different souls is celebrated by one of his many names, which translates as he who takes infinite forms. If we treat Krishna as a symbol, metaphor, or literary device, our experience of him will be limited to a symbol or metaphor. We'll be able to obtain some relevance from his words, but we will remain closed off to all other aspects of him. But if we treat Krishna as the soul of the universe, as literally the power that rules the universe, that's how Krishna will reveal himself in our life. The empiricists, who trust only what they can perceive through the external physical senses, will marvel at the beauty and wonder of the universe and its guiding laws, including time. This is Krishna's energy. To the empiricists, Krishna manifests himself in that way, not more. Then there are the seekers of spiritual knowledge. They'll perceive Krishna as the hidden basis of all things, the fountainhead of all possibility from which everything manifests and into which everything returns. They'll know Krishna as the self-organizing and self-correcting principle of life, the soul of the universe, unseen and unknowable through ordinary sense perception. According to their perception, Krishna is an all-pervasive field of existence without form, known in the ancient sacred texts as Brahman. This Brahman is the realm of pure potentiality, supporting all existence and non-existence. Then there is the vision of the mystics. Through meditation, the mystics perceive Krishna within their very own heart as the universal teacher. This is not merely an idea or belief. Such yogis and yoginis have direct perception of Krishna through such inward-looking contemplation. All three are looking at the same thing, but what they see is different, depending upon their perspective and preference. How do you see Krishna? Anita asked. As the empiricist, the seeker of spiritual knowledge, or the mystic? I'm on the path of Bhakti Yoga, so I see Krishna as the personification of beauty and the captivating Lord of love, I replied. In Bhakti Yoga, we offer our heart to Krishna. This is the most mystical of traditions. Bhakti is nurtured through a very personal and intimate relationship with the divine, just like the relationship of love between Arjuna and Krishna. Remember, Krishna reveals to Arjuna his limitless universal form, but Arjuna isn't attracted to this form. He wants a personal relationship of love with Krishna. To develop such an intimate union with the soul of the universe through sacred love is the aim of Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of offering love. The ancient mystical texts say Krishna can't be seen with the material eye or understood with the material mind. His very form is composed of love, and therefore he remains invisible to a heart hardened by violence and devoid of love. Those who practice the yoga of offering love are able to see the beautiful form of Krishna in the core of their heart. Through the eyes of love, that form becomes visible to them, reflected on the mirror of their pure heart. But take great care, be warned. Once someone glimpses Krishna, even for a moment, she loses all attraction for the ordinary things of this world. They appear to her as valueless as broken pieces of glass. I had revealed more than I had intended. These esoteric teachings of the yoga of the heart are normally kept confidential. For millennia, they've been explored by sadhus or shamans of the heart and passed down in sacred lineages. But Anita was eager to know more. Tomorrow I'll tell you about Sri Radha, the goddess of sacred love, I said. In my own lineage, we worship her above Krishna.
Thank you. I really appreciated this section because for some of us prior to this book, we probably had heard of Krishna or knew who Krishna was. And for some of us, Krishna is a completely new name, person, character, however they want to identify with Krishna. And I really liked how he addressed this question kind of straight on, because many people have a different conception of who Krishna is. And in fact, he provided a spectrum of how to understand Krishna. And so I thought that was a really a very kind of broad-minded, and it was a very it was a way that could hopefully identify with many people. And then he obviously shared something about his own practice and path. So yeah, this was of many sections in this book, this section particularly, because at the beginning, if you remember, we started by describing who these characters were in this discussion of, who is Arjuna? He's the greatest warrior of his time, and the person who's driving his chariot is in fact Krishna himself or God. So it's quite a intimate discussion between student and teacher. And so this section, I think, really kind of brings to life the way Krishna can appear in our life. And it really is dependent on how we choose. And in the 4th chapter of the Gita, it talks about, to the degree we also make an effort or surrender, then that reciprocation comes accordingly. So the nice thing is that there's so much choice that is and freedom that's left up to us as well. Did anyone have any reflections or questions from this section?
I have a quick question. You mentioned some of us may not have had an introduction of Krishna. I mean, my first introduction of Krishna is this beautiful painting in my mum's house, I think in the Hare Krishna temple, and it's Krishna, but Krishna is dancing with a lot of ladies, like a lot of ladies. So for me, I've never understood that, but now I'm sort of understanding, because now actually the Radha, the sacred love, is being introduced as Sri Radha. So that to me, you know, obviously we're not Hindus, so that to me was, so it goes a lot deeper than that. It's not about him dancing with a lot of ladies. It's, what is it?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, for those that you know, came on the retreat, Stacy and Tiffany, we were actually able to go into a temple, and we were explaining that, you know, Radha, who stands beside Krishna in many pictures, she's in fact the, you know, in the Vedic tradition, there's both a male and a female conception of divinity. So it's not just you know, I think in most other traditions, at least there's an emphasis placed more on the masculine, you know, divine being masculine, but here there's always that balance between the two. And so Sri Radha is considered really the one, as I mentioned, the kind of the female aspect of divinity, but two, she's also that person who's even more compassionate and loving than Krishna is. Basically, think of her, I mean, it's very easy to identify with Radha, because we all, if we've experienced the love from a mother, we can connect with how loving mothers can be, right? And so we have a father has a role, a mother has a role, but that specific type of love that comes from that motherly figure, that's the embodiment of love that Sri Radha wants to give all, right? Many times when we can't receive something from, let's say, our father will go to our mother, and our mother will just lovingly give, right? And so that giving heart of a mother, that's really the embodiment of Radha. And that picture that you come to understand, yeah, right. And so that's it's quite an, you know, there's the whole understanding of Krishna, and this so that person that, you know, he's dancing in the middle with Radha, and in the middle, and everyone else around him is also dancing. But these are all basically Radha's closest friends.
Is that not Krishna dancing with everybody?
Yeah, so basically all of his friends also want to, you know, be part of the dance. And so he's able to expand himself so that each person thinks that he's dancing with her. But this pastime is a very deep one. It's called the Rasa Lila dance, which means, you know, rasa means the circular formation they're in. That's also, there's an intention behind and a purpose behind that. But the reason why this one it's often misunderstood is because we usually look at it sometimes with material vision. And that's why where it's described in the, you know, as Simon was saying in the book, in this section here, is that for us to be able to understand some of these things, we've had to have undergone like a practice for a period of time and have studied under a teacher, because otherwise we'll apply our material eyes to a very deep spiritual loving experience. But they're all kind of there's a deep exchange of love that Radha and all of Radha's personal friends have with Krishna. That's in the Bhakti texts are considered the highest exemplar of love that we can all learn from in our journey to develop that relationship.
So isn't it just actually, well, now they're describing Radha as sacred love, but isn't it just actually they're not exactly what you said? We're looking at it as a materialistic eyes. Actually, it's not a male figure. It's actually dancing with life and nature and embracing that. We see male, female, but actually it might not be male, female. It's just the joy.
Yeah, but it's also love. See, for many of us, like we're still in the space of small love, which is conditional and temporary and kind of based on externals. This is really the purity of just complete spiritual energy and the love of the soul that's manifesting here. And it's not on the material plane. I think did Avantika, did you have something to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to, if it's okay, I just wanted to join this discussion. So this is to do with, I just want to give some perspective because it's not just in the Hindu traditions, but right now, for everyone sitting here would have, especially with, there's certain traditions which are speaking more of a lot of the Magdalene, aspects of the faith coming up, a lot of divine feminine, the rise of divine feminine is being spoken about in a lot of the New Age circles. And when it comes to Krishna, there are many which believe that he was, he, she, it, they were essentially gender fluid. There's another aspect of, one second, just hang on. Sorry, there's someone. Okay, fine. Sorry about that. So, there's also the aspect of the avatar form of things and also the Leela form of things, the Ras Leela, but also the ability to be able to understand the holography of relationships in 3D world. So what you might believe is a one-to-one connection is actually just a holographic representation of the only one relationship that exists, which is that of the soul with the divine. And that when it is kind of you experience that in a holographic projected form, and what the Krishna Ras Leela with the gopis and Radha's friends and everything was basically to help people understand how one may experience that same highest level of devotion, sacred love, multiple people, and the source is the same. So Krishna, basically being the source, was able to be omnipresent with every single person experiencing that divine love. That's really what the great artists of Mathura and all would try to depict in that beautiful art. But the concept is very deep, and it is the concept of you have a split fragmented self. When you go further into union within yourself, you start to merge the masculine, the feminine, the gender fluid aspects of yourself within yourself. Even Vishnu, which is the source seed point of Krishna, has appeared as Mohini, the feminine form. Shiva has appeared as Ardhanarishwar, the masculine, the feminine, the third gender, all genders, omnigender. So I think all of these concepts are just helping us understand the importance of the masculine side and the feminine side and their role in sacred love. Second, the omnipresence of the divinity in aspects of love, and the holography in 3D, because Leela is a concept, and you've heard me speak of Leela and Woke Hero as well, but Leela is a concept, it's called divine play. When in something that's happening at the cosmic level, then is projected as manifestation in the 3D world. The avatar is is kind of able to to do that. But in a lot of the law of attraction, The Secret, and a lot of the other, manifestation theories which are coming up in this thing, that's essentially what people are doing. They're tapping into their ability to kind of alchemize something that is in thought or this thing, and then kind of transmit that into the material world. So it's all of these concepts, very, very powerful, very deep, very complex, which kind of get represented by bhakti, which kind of get represented by union, by yoga, by all of these beautiful aspects that it could almost take like months to just discourse through each and every one of them. But I hope I've just been able to touch upon some of these points as I see them.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Avantika. It's really nice addition. And as Avantika mentioned, with the time that it takes to understand this, I mean, for me, myself, having practiced bhakti for a few years, I've been told by all my mentors and teachers that this kind of specific area of the relationship between Radha and Krishna, it's so deep that it should always be studied with a teacher. And I just haven't reached that level where I feel like I'm ready yet to understand. So I too also have a lot to learn in that area. But no, thank you for bringing it up. It's something nice to just clarify a little bit too.
I'm going to ask if when we go deeper in another. Thank you, Avantika, and we can. I'm actually now drawn to that picture, and I've got an affinity for it. So I'm going to go and write to my mum and say, "That's mine."
Thank you. So before we end today, we'll be jumping into the last section, and the last section is really powerful. Because it's all about going and creating a sankalpa. So sankalpa means like a resolve, a vow, definite intention. And I was hoping that we could start making some time to come up with our own sankalpa. And it may not come very easily to us because it requires, Simon really emphasizes that it requires this. It's not something that just comes out of our mind. It really requires a lot of deep reflection coming from the heart. And it may not come for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that's fine. But just wanting to kind of shine the light, because maybe towards the end, I see us maybe finishing in about 2 weeks' time. But just wanted to kind of start the meditation on this sankalpa. That's, really an ancient, powerful yoga technique. It's so powerful. It says, a sankalpa isn't simple idea that I make a wish and then do a little spiritual practice to bring about. When performed correctly, a sankalpa is more potent than matter, right? So this is something really powerful. And I would like for all of us just to, kind of really capture something that, we can take away all with us before completing this book. So if people want to read at least the first section to start doing that, it would be a great start to this ending chapter. Thank you so much, everyone. What a really amazing discussion today on how we experience divinity and grace in our everyday life, and just these last 2 sections of widening our circle. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see everybody.
Great class. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate all of you. Thanks.
Great week.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
I will be sending some highlights. I'm going to New York later today. I know some of you already know about the trip, and we're really lucky that we'll get to spend some time with Satchidanand Swami. And we just found out that Radhanand Swami will also be joining us in New York. So really excited for the weekend.
You can
Very
ask him.
nice.
You can ask him for this session. Ask him.
We will.
Bye.
Okay, everyone.
Enjoy.
Good.
Bye.
Bye. Very good. Bye. Thank you, everyone.